Greetings and salutations, travelers of the internet. Welcome to the Lit Round Table. I'm Anna.
And I'm Joseph, and today will be your wise or not so wise mentors for today's audio adventure into all things storytelling. Episode 20. 2-0.
Wow. Crazy. Can you believe that?
What else is crazy? Oh, hey, it's also October 20th as we're recording this.
Yes.
Wow.
It's pretty cool. I like it when numbers
magic is real. Magic is real.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, today we are going to have a fascinating discussion about creepypasta. When you leave spaghetti out for too long and it gets like moldy, or like you just had spaghetti the night before and like the dishes are just piling up in the sink and you can like still smell spaghetti. That's like,
and then it develops a soul and it haunts your nightmares.
Yeah. As it does. Yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about today. No, it's creepypastas are horror stories that are posted on the internet. I should have looked up the origins of the name creepypasta, but I didn't actually see anything in my research as far as where that word comes from. I think it's derivative of copy-paste. Because that was kind of the nature of them. You would copy and paste them to share them with each other. But they just like changed it to creepypasta. Anyway, so what we're gonna get into it though. So first, we're going to go over what we've been watching, reading, playing, all that good stuff, and you get to start.
Woohoo! Okay, so I am still reading The Once and Future Witches by Alix E. Harrow. Harrow? Harrow.
You said a Harrow, hero, and Harrow, which
whichever one is the correct one.
Three different.
Well, it's Alix E, so middle initial E, Harrow or Harrow. I'm not sure which. Anyway, so that's been really good, and I am still reading the My Hero Academia School Briefs Volume 1, which has been really fun. I finished Volume 5 of Yona of the Dawn, so I'm moving on to Volume 6. And for The Hobbit, we are leaving Lake Town, so we're a little over halfway done, which is super exciting.
You're plugging away through that.
Yeah.
I don't. Well, it's not really that long of a book. I don't know why I was expecting it to take you forever, but
it's funny because the weekly reading assignments take me probably twice as long as the Narnia books did, because Tolkien is wordy.
A little different, like prose,
very different. Yeah. And as far as watching, the big thing is that I watched Midnight Mass, which
you did.
I did. I watched it very quickly because I couldn't stop watching it. Okay. You kind of made it out that it wasn't going to be a horror.
Well, no, it is, but it's not. It's
totally
not like a slasher. Like it has some scary moments, but it's like, I don't know. It wasn't like Haunting at Hill House or Bly Manor that this guy has done before. Like there's not
because it wasn't ghosts.
Yeah,
but there is a random vampire.
But there weren't as many like jump scares in this one really. Like it was still like disturbing, but I was never like whoa.
I just want to put it out there that it is in fact a horror show, because I saw someone on Facebook talking about how they were watching it, like a peer of mine, someone who's my age, and she was only on like episode 3, which like nothing really crazy has happened yet.
Everything up to that is a slow burn for sure.
Yeah. I mean, things, once you see the whole thing, you're like, oh, some crazy stuff was happening in the first 3 episodes, but you don't know it until later.
Yeah.
And someone had asked, like, oh, is it, like, her description of it was, like, it's a religious, like, dealing with, like, religious trauma and whatever.
Yeah.
And someone had commented and was like, oh, that sounds really interesting. Is it scary at all? And because she was only on episode 3, she was like, no, it's not scary at all. It's just really interesting. And I was like, you're like just about to get to the scary stuff. And I was going to comment and be
Yeah.
like, oh, it gets a little more intense after episode 3, but somebody else had already done that. And hopped in and was like, hey, just a heads up, if you are like super not cool with horror, it goes there.
Uh-huh.
And it does.
Pretty fast.
After episode 3, like pretty quickly. But
Right. So I mean,
if you were thinking about watching it, listener, and you are horror averse, let me try that again. If you are horror averse, maybe pass on this one.
yeah, I mean, it's directed by a person who's known for their Netflix series that are horror series. So like it's definitely like a scary story. I don't think it's as scary as those other ones, but it's still scary.
It's just very different.
Yeah.
It's more monster. And the other ones were ghosts.
Yeah, that's true. This is like a monster thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But still very good and very well made.
Yes, I agree.
It will make you feel things.
Yes.
For sure.
Yes.
So, yeah, highly recommend. Yeah, there's a lot of profanity. If you're not, yeah, I mean, it's a horror thing. Like there's a lot of violence. There's a lot of profanity. There's a lot of, yeah. So if you're sensitive to any of that, maybe pass it up. But for those of you that are brave, check it out. Let us know what you thought.
Or if you watch like the Haunting of Hill House or the Haunting of Bly Manor, like, yeah, you should watch this one too.
Yeah.
But
well, cool. What else? What else you got?
I mean, otherwise, I've been watching Great British Baking Show or Great British Bake Off, depending on. I think if you're in Britain, it's Bake Off, but if you're watching it on Netflix, it's Baking Show because
I think Bake Off is more fun.
Bake Off is more fun, but technically on Netflix, it's if you're looking for it on Netflix.
Yeah.
It's not listed the same way.
Sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. I did have like a couple like not really like media I'm ingesting little stories that I would like to share. Can I share them now before we get into? Okay. I had some name confusion today. Or yesterday. Name confusion. Yes. Because I follow lots of authors on Twitter, particularly E.K. Johnston, who wrote she wrote Ahsoka, and she's written like the Queen's Peril and Queen's Hope, like those Star Wars books. And I've seen like some interviews from her, and she's awesome. But she had shared like a Twitter thread saying like, this is one of my favorite humans. Or something like that. And it was a thread from Claudia Black. And because it was a Star Wars author sharing a familiar name, I thought, oh my gosh, Claudia Black. Wait. Yeah, hold on, I'll get there.
Wait, I know who that is.
I know you know who that is. So I was like, oh. So I click on it, I was like, oh, this is Vala from Stargate, seasons 9 and 10. Or she also plays Erin on Farscape, which we never watched, but that's like her bigger role. Yeah. Because she was one of the leads on it. And it was like a thread about her talking about how she met James McAvoy when he was in Dune back in the 80s and whatever. It was a very like endearing thread and story. And the whole time I'm reading it, I'm like, oh my gosh, is Claudia Black a Star Wars author? Because there are books... But there are books written by a Claudia that are Star Wars books. And because it was E.K. Johnston that shared it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that Vala from Stargate is an author too. That is so cool. So I was looking at her Twitter, and then I was like, is that right? And I had to look it up. It's not right. The author that I was thinking of is Claudia Gray, who's also a phenomenal writer. So anyway, Claudia Black and Claudia Gray are not the same person, but I was very excited for a little bit today that they were.
Oh, bummer. Well,
that's my name confusion. But they're both phenomenal storytellers, just different mediums.
Can we just take a moment to recognize that I heard a name and knew who it was?
Yes, I'm very proud of you, because that doesn't happen very often.
Thank you. Not as often as it should.
Especially like that far back. Yeah,
I can't explain that, how I managed to know that.
Yeah.
But But I was like, oh, well, okay, to be fair, though, I did not remember the character's name. I saw her face in my mind.
Yes.
I could have put the name to the face, but yeah, good job for remembering the character's name. So
Yeah. And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is that William Shatner got to go to space last week.
Oh, I did see that. I saw a joke afterwards that was like, in order to pay off his debt to Bezos for going to space, he has to work in an Amazon factory. And it was a picture of him like sorting boxes at a conveyor belt.
Oh gosh. No, I think that William Shatner is probably well set enough that he was able to pay for that out of pocket. But I thought it was kind of cool that Captain Kirk got to go to space.
Yeah, that is cool.
Way cooler than Jeffrey Bezos going to space.
You mean Lex Luthor?
Yes. And Elon Musty.
Musty. Musky.
Yeah.
You know, what'd be really cool is if next. You know what's sad though is that Leonard Nimoy never got.
I was gonna say,
space.
I thought for a second you were just gonna say, wouldn't it be cool if Leonard Nimoy got to go to space? I was gonna have to be like, dude, he died. He died like a while ago.
No, I was gonna say Mark Hamill.
That would be cool.
Or Harrison Ford would also be cool.
Yeah.
He's a pilot, so he would appreciate it for sure. I mean, everyone would appreciate it, but I feel like he would have a unique perspective.
Yeah. No, that would be cool if they got to go.
But anyway,
so those are my two little things, and I just wanted to interject because I thought they were funny and cool.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Mm-hmm. Does that wrap things up for you?
Yep.
Okay. So for me, first of all, we finished Dragons of Autumn Twilight.
Oh, we did. Yes, we did.
Which, the finale for that is now up, so go check that out if you were following along. And I have also been reading... What?
What? I was just saying how in that episode we talked about comments and how we get like weird comments sometimes, like on the YouTube version of the audio that's just like timestamps. Mm-hmm. We had 2 of those today, like before it had been out for an hour.
Nice.
And I just laughed because I was like, are they here because we talked about it?
Wow. They know. No, but it's a bot.
Anyway, so that's why I was chuckling. Sorry.
It is for sure a bot.
Absolutely. They're 2 different bots. It's just funny that it happened on that video where we talked about it.
Yeah. Oh well. Anyway, so yes, we finished Dragons of Autumn Twilight. I have been listening to The Shadow Rising, the 4th book in Wheel of Time, on my drive to work. So plugging along there. I've started reading The Blade itself, which is the next book that we're reading for our read along. I'm like,
so far.
Well, the first chapter was like 2 pages, and then after that, it's like the prologue. Okay. But so far so good. There's really like the character work is really impressive so far, I will say.
Okay. So interesting.
Yeah, like really. The author really does a good job of putting you there with the character. And, like, you feel every ache and pain that the character's feeling.
Okay.
It's interesting. It's really interesting. Anyway, still reading House on the Cerulean Sea. I haven't really made any progress there, but it's still on my shelf of a book that I'm reading. And I downloaded the Crunchyroll manga app so that I could read the rest of Attack on Titan, where the show left off. I'm not super far, but I am a couple of chapters into that. So, yeah.
My prediction is that, because your wife has read it, and she sent me a photo of her after she had finished it, and she just looked destroyed.
No, she was a wreck. She came home from work, and she was, like, depressed.
Yeah.
It was a rough time.
So, my prediction, which she will not confirm or deny it, is that everyone dies. Like, it ends in, like, world annihilation.
Just everyone.
Like, everything is gone.
Explodes.
Yes. But then I was like, maybe that's too merciful of an ending. Like, is that too easy if everyone just ends up dead? Yeah. We'll see.
I guess I'll find out, and then I won't tell you.
No, don't tell me.
So that's for reading. For watching, Demon Slayer Season 2 has started.
Did it really start already?
Yeah, dude. Like 2 episodes in.
I've been watching the I should have said this. I've been watching they have like the TV specials where they put a bunch of the old episodes together so you don't have to like watch the intro and outro.
Oh, sure.
So I've been like watching that to like refresh because I was like making preparations for the new season, but I didn't know the new season already started.
So like episode 1 of season 2 is actually like all new, and that's like you see how Rengoku gets on the train for Mugen Train. And all that. So it's like pretty much all Rengoku for that first episode. And now in episode 2, it's pretty much almost shot by shot of the movie. but the first episode,
because they have to make sure that people that didn't see the movie know what's going on.
yeah, like they're rehashing the movie in the show, which
Okay.
yeah, I'm kind of annoyed, but because I want new content, but
Right.
like it's still. The content that they're putting out is still really good. I've just already seen it.
Okay.
So yeah, there's that. And so yeah, Demon Slayer season 2. We have started watching Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood
We did.
on our anime night, which has
And
been
it's good.
very fun. Yes. I'm glad you like it so far.
I like it a lot.
It's very different from Attack on Titan.
It really is. It
Yeah.
is not nearly as depressing. But it has
Well-
its moments. It's not as despair driven as Attack
Yeah.
on Titan. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like
For
the
those of you
tone
that
of
are-
Attack on Titan is just like, oh, end
Yeah.
of the world.
yeah. It's like dystopian.
But yeah.
For those of you familiar with Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, we finished we finished episode 10 of the first season when we left off. So you can, for those of you who are familiar,
Yeah.
you know
Kind of a
what,
bummer.
you know some of the things that happen in those first couple episodes.
What did we say for Fizban? What was the idiom
What?
you used for Fizban in Dragon's Bottom Twilight? You said, "Oh, we need to." What is that
Oh,
idiom that
pour
you
one
used?
out. Pour
Yes.
one out for
There's one. There, we need to pour one out for episode 10.
for Markiplier.
Yes.
It's a character that
Man,
looks
that
a
is-
lot like
I was
Markiplier.
gonna say that is such a deep cut. Who is a YouTuber that has
Yeah.
nothing to do with Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood?
No, but he looks exactly like that character.
He does.
So yeah, anyway, we're watching that. I finished Assassination Classroom.
Oh,
I don't think I mentioned that last time I recorded.
you mentioned that you were watching it, but you.
I have finished it, and I cried.
Is it like a complete story, or is it?
Oh,
waiting
yeah.
for season 2.
No, it's over.
So it's done.
It's two seasons. It's 2 seasons and it's complete.
Okay. So it's one that I can watch and like get the whole story.
And be satisfied. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
It's very, very good. Very, very emotional ending.
Yeah.
But satisfying.
I
Which
love
is-
Yona, but can you tell that I was traumatized because I keep asking you if these animes you're watching are complete? They're gonna just like ruin me and not
That's
be
someone
done.
who's been burned before.
Yes. Yes. Sorry.
So yes, and really, that's gonna kind of become one of my comfort anime because like the theme song is so good in the first season, and they're just like, oh, it's just so wholesome. Anyway,
That's
you'll have to
cool.
watch it. You'll have to watch it.
Yeah. Is that the one that has the big like smiley face head guy?
Yeah.
Okay. I've seen him
Yep.
in things, or like seen his picture on things, but okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, finished that. I also watched. Okay, so did you watch BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural with Shane and Ryan?
I have watched several of those. Yes.
Okay, well they just released another one yesterday, and is the first episode of what they're saying is going to be the final season of it. So
Okay.
I watched that yesterday, and that's
What's
fun.
the topic?
They were in the Conjuring house, like the house that inspired the movie The Conjuring.
Ooh.
So, for those of you who don't know, BuzzFeed Unsolved Supernatural is a show, especially the ones with Shane and Ryan, where these two guys just go to these haunted locations, and they're trying to answer the question of whether or not ghosts are real. And Shane does not believe in ghosts, and Ryan does. So they have some very, very, very entertaining banter, and like
Yeah.
Uh,
And
yeah,
like
it's
Ryan legitimately gets freaked out
oh he like screams and
all the time.
cries and yeah, and Shane is just like interesting that a breeze opened that door.
Yeah.
Does that bother you,
Yeah.
Ryan? And Ryan's like crying in a corner.
Yeah, when they were like new, when they were just starting, I watched like all their stuff.
Yeah.
But then they like had some other people take over and do some, and I didn't care. I didn't care for the other people.
Oh no, I was only
I
watching
like
it.
the Shane and Ryan dynamic.
Yeah, I was only watching it for
So.
them. So yeah, they're starting their last season, and
Okay,
so
I'll
yeah,
have
I'm
to go
very
look it up.
excited. Very excited to watch those. So that's it for watching. For playing, we are still playing the One Ring RPG, and the group has managed to get themselves in a really interesting situation, and I really look forward to hearing how they get out of it.
I feel bad. It's
And
kind of my fault, but it was because I was reading The Hobbit and like was getting inspiration. Like, oh, we should do this because this is what Frodo and Sam do, which
yeah,
does not happen in The Hobbit. But I was in the world enough that that's what I was thinking. Anyway, which totally did not put myself in danger, but put other people in a lot of danger.
we will see. It's exciting. They're in a goblin. They're in a goblin-infested cave system, and Anna's character made a lot of noise. Very Pippin of you. Like
It was, hey, I'm a himbo, but a girl.
yeah, that's true.
So it
I
was
expected it to be Horo,
on
but
brand for my character.
yeah,
Well, I thought I was doing something helpful.
yeah,
It's good intentions,
it's all good.
bad results.
Anyway, so yeah, we've been playing that, and I have been itching to play some Persona 5 or maybe Kingdom Hearts 3 because I never finished Kingdom Hearts 3.
Really? I didn't know that.
And yeah, I've just been kind of itching to play, so I'm actually off work the next 2 days, so that's probably going to happen.
Nice. Well, I'm jealous.
Yeah. So, and just some things that I'm excited for. The Wheel of Time show is happening next month. I'm still super, super excited for that.
Yeah.
Still excited for Attack on Titan Season 4 Part 2, which is going to be in January. And Critical Role Season 3 is starting tomorrow. And Hope and I are going to see it premiere in a theater. I am
Yes.
super, super excited. I just want to see what characters they're playing. I'm really excited to see what the characters are. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
it's going to be really late night, though, because they start streaming at 7 p.m. Pacific time, and it's like
Oh.
4 hours. So it's like 9 p.m. Central. We're not going to get home till like 2 a.m.
Oh my gosh.
But it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah. It'll be
She's
a lot,
driving.
but it'll be good.
Hope is driving there, and I'm driving back. It's fine. So,
Good.
so yeah.
That reminded me that the My Hero Academia World, what is it? World Heroes.
Oh, the movie. The movie is coming out on the 29th.
Yes. Yes.
Which
And I think I'm going to have to go to a different town to see it because it's not going to be in the theater here. But that's okay because it means I get to go to a nicer theater.
right. The theater where you are is trash.
It really
Literal,
is. It is
literal
awful.
trash. The seats are literally trash.
Just about anywhere else is better.
Yeah.
So.
We have tickets for the 29th to go see it here, so I'm very excited.
Oh, you do? That's Friday, so we won't have anime night that night.
Right.
So I
Well,
should
we
get my
will.
tickets for Friday.
Just separately. It's still
Yes.
anime night. It's just,
Okay. Well, that means that I can get my ticket for Friday, though. Because I wasn't going to get it for Friday because I assumed we were going to do our usual. But
yeah.
that is fine.
I think Hope was like, we're doing it the first night so that we avoid spoilers
I like it. Okay.
from
I will
like
do the same.
TikTok, from anime TikTok.
Yes.
All right.
I'm glad we talked
So-
about this on the podcast so I would
Yes,
know what
exactly.
to do next week.
We got the
I'm
logistics
going to
all
make
sorted out.
myself a note
Well,
right now.
oh, yeah. Thanks for, click that pin right in the mic.
I clicked it around the mic.
Click, 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 click. All right. Well, while you're writing that note, let's dive into the spooky subject of creepypasta. So,
Yes.
I mentioned it before, but for those of you that are uninitiated, or maybe you're just unfamiliar with the term, you don't know what I'm talking about, creepypastas are horror stories that are posted online. There's millions of them. It's literally now there is actually a creepypasta website where anyone can just post a scary story. And
Oh, I
so
didn't know that.
it can be a variety of different genres, from like psycho, killer, supernatural. There's a lot of things that are like haunted games and like haunted TV shows. So yeah, like a lot of different stories on the Creepypasta website. Yeah, it's kind of believed to have been started, like that whole thing originated with actually like chain emails. Like
Oh.
like how, you'd get like a creepy chain email. It's like, oh, you got to do this, and this before this time, or you'll die. So it's like, it's kind of that. Although that would be like a creepypasta, is like a story about someone who ignores a chain email and gets like murdered. That would totally be a creepypasta.
Sure. Yeah.
So
I have for sure seen those emails.
yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, it's something that kind of started in the late 2000s, and it peaked in popularity in like 2010. That was when it was like peak Slenderman, which
I was just gonna. I was gonna ask about Slenderman.
yeah, there's like a couple of really popular things that are affiliated with creepypasta. Some of them might be familiar to those of you listening, even if you're not familiar with creepypasta. One is Slenderman, uh, Ted the Caver, Jeff the Killer, and Ben Drowned. Those are four super super popular creepypastas.
So, I'm only familiar with Slenderman. Are you gonna like explain those four? Just like the basic like premise of the story?
I can explain for the ones I'm familiar with. Yes.
Okay.
So Slenderman we'll save for last because that one goes a little more in depth. That Slenderman has really kind of become the poster boy of creepypasta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ted the Caver is a story about someone who's exploring a cave system and that turns dark. Jeff the Killer is about like a high school student who turns into a psycho killer and like mutilates their own face to make them look particularly creepy.
Yeah.
And Ben Drowned is. I used to know more about Ben Drowned, but I mean by the title Ben Drowns. It's like it's like a it's like a little boy
Sure.
Ben, and it's like a ghost thing. So yeah, there's also Sonic.exe, which is like a haunted game thing where if you play a certain copy of one of the Sonic games by Sega, like you'll be haunted and stuff. There's like uh, secret Zelda dungeon stuff. There's like banned episodes of SpongeBob that like never aired that showed like really disturbing images and things. So yeah, there's a lot of different creepypastas, but those four are like the most well known. But yeah, Slenderman is like classic creepypasta. Basically, it was something that started, and creepypastas are like a really interesting example of the internet just taking hold of something and running with it, uh, and just like
Mm-hmm.
beating that horse to death, and then some. Like, Slenderman started with just a Photoshop contest. They're like, make a creepy Photoshop photo, and it went viral. It was just a picture of some kids playing in a playground with a very tall man in the background that had no face, like watching the
You've
kids play.
probably seen that picture floating around the internet because it pops up fairly often,
Right.
or at least it used to.
If you're watching on YouTube, I'll try to put it up, but if I'm able, if I can find a good quality one to put up. Yeah. So he, like, for the Slenderman lore, it's like that picture popped up and then the internet just like ran with it, and they came up with just an entire lore and backstory to this creepy character that is now called Slenderman. It's just a uh, figure in a black suit with really really long arms and legs and a totally white, bald, featureless like mannequin head, like no face whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
And some iterations of Slenderman also have like tentacles, black tentacles coming out of his back. Basically, he just kidnaps kids, and he like teleports, and he like pulls kids away into alternate dimensions, and you like never see the kids again. This and you like see him a lot in forests and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it kind of
Yeah.
became, it like has a mind of its own now. Like it's people have posted so many videos and so much content about Slenderman, like about like the history of Slenderman. And there's some videos where people are talking about it as if Slenderman is actually real. And like this is the backstory for this like cryptid. Like Slenderman is almost like Bigfoot status, you know, where people are so convinced that Slenderman is real, even though it just originated with a picture in a Photoshop contest. So,
Yeah.
but people are like, oh, was it really Photoshopped? You know, like people are just,
Sure.
you know, try to freak you out, make you think that it's actually real.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just interesting how far that particular story has come. But
Yeah. I think that Slenderman is probably for sure my first exposure, other than like those chain emails, to anything creepypasta online. And I think it may even be like the thing that I still wouldn't say that I'm interested in horror at all. But, or that like I have to be in a very specific like season. Like
yeah,
October, I'm like, yes, I'll watch a couple like spooky or scary things in October.
yeah,
And then like the rest of the year, no thank you.
hmm
But Slenderman was, because there was that YouTube channel. Do you remember what it was called? That they
hmm
posted videos. What was that called?
Marble Hornets.
Yes, yes. So I think you showed me some Marble Hornets videos and we watched them together. And it scared me so bad. And I
hmm
was like in college.
Me too. I think we both were.
Yeah. And well, that means I was out of college if you were in college,
Yeah, I
which is
watched the
almost
majority
worse.
of those because that's like, well, they had been out for a little bit, but I was watching because I mean they're still on YouTube. You can watch them if you want.
Oh yeah, and I for sure didn't finish because I think I got caught up, and then they were still releasing like really
Yeah,
irregularly, which was kind of the point of the whole thing, like
yeah, yeah,
because it was like a documentary style series, so it made it seem like it was real. It was actually I thought it was pretty well done, considering what
yeah,
it was accomplishing.
yeah. So that's something
So
I was actually going to bring up was
oh okay, sorry, didn't mean to steal your thunder.
all the different. No, that's perfect segue. So all the different things that have been created that's about Slenderman. Marble Hornets really is like largely responsible for how much Slenderman took off, because it's
Yeah.
basically these people just started a YouTube channel, and they were treating it like a found footage documentary type thing, where they were shooting a documentary called Marble Hornets, but then some weird things started happening while they were shooting. They started seeing like this weird figure in the background in their shots, even when they were just shooting random footage, just like
Like
walking down the
B-roll.
street.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was like just this creepy figure in the background, and people were going missing from the set and like all this stuff, and like the plot just got more and more and more dark and twisted, and eventually it turned into like this almost survival story of these people just trying to figure out what's going on, and survive the Slender Man as the Slender Man hunts them. So it was
Right.
this. It really took hold of YouTube, and I mean, some of those videos have like millions of views, and like
Oh
it's
yeah.
crazy. That was a
Because
very
there
very
were like
popular.
yeah, it was super popular. I'm just like I can remember like specific shots of them like standing in storage drains and
Mm-hmm.
like Slenderman being at the end, or there's like this whole part where they're in like an abandoned hospital
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of the forest, which is creepy anyway.
Yeah.
Like without the Slenderman motif.
Yeah.
And there's like it was really spooky.
Yeah.
And I can like still see those images in my brain. And I
And
haven't seen that in like 10 years.
there's like people that are followers of Slender Man that are also like that are like it almost turns into like a culty kind of thing, and they're like worshiping Slender Man, and they're like doing the things that he tells them to do, and they're like killing people too, and it's like
Yeah.
it like really goes off the rails. I don't know if it's finished or if they're even still posting. I should look that up sometime. But
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't finish it because I caught up and I just kind of forgot about it as I got interested in other things. But
Yeah.
yeah, Marble Hornets really gave Slenderman a lot of notoriety, and that is what kind of spawned a lot of things. There was a Slenderman game, which when that first came out, people were terrified of that game. You're just running around in some woods, and you are finding these pages that are attached to like random objects in the forest, and the
Mm-hmm.
more pages you find, the more Slenderman hunts you, and it's like you never see Slenderman move when you're looking at him, but like I think that's how it works. But like when you look away, he'll like come at you really fast, and so it's really freaky, and like the music that plays is it's a very creepy game. I mean, it's just you're in the woods gathering these
Yeah.
pages, and this dark suit, faceless guy is running you down. It's
I mean, yeah, it kind of reminds me of like the angels and the silence from Doctor Who if they were like combined.
oh yeah, that's exactly yeah. The
Yeah.
silence was definitely inspired by Slenderman. I'm just gonna
I
say
don't
it.
know. I don't know which came first.
Oh, Slenderman definitely came first.
You think?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
Call me out if I'm wrong, but I'm like 99%
Oof.
sure that Slenderman was before the silence in Doctor Who. But
I'm just gonna look up the David Tennant years for.
yeah,
Because that was Tennant, right?
no, that was Matt Smith.
Okay. Matt Smith. The Angels were David Tennant,
Yes, yes, yes.
right? No, they're both Matt Smith. Man, I'm having a hard time.
But the Angels come up with David Tennant first, but Doctor Who, that's a whole other topic that we haven't even touched on.
We haven't, which is crazy because we were both like big Whovians for a while. Matt Smith was in Doctor Who 2010 to 2014. So they would have been like kind of at the same time.
Yeah, but the Slenderman stuff like first started before 2010. It just hit peak popularity at that time. I'm not like since Slenderman was so popular, I'm not surprised that the silence like just their overall character concept because for those of you that aren't familiar with Doctor Who, they're just like these alien creatures who wear dark suits. They have really big pale heads but it's weird because like you they're memory proof. You can't remember them after you look away from them, which means that like the earth is full of these creatures and just nobody remembers that they're there.
But they terrorize you.
Yeah.
They're like, it's like the thing that you see out of the corner of your eye. Then you look and there's nothing there. Like,
Yeah.
that's the whole premise.
Yeah. And then and they're like behind the scenes manipulating world events because no one can remember they're there, but they can like whisper suggestions and all this stuff. Yeah, it's creepy. But anyway, yeah, so the video game for Slenderman was terrifying, and that was like really peak Slenderman was when that video game came out and Marble Hornets was happening. That was like you couldn't get away from Slenderman. It's like Halloween costumes, prank videos online of people dressing up as Slenderman and scaring people in alleyways. I have a white morph suit that I got specifically so that I could dress up as Slenderman for Halloween one time when I was in college. Like
I forgot about that.
I don't think I still have it, but no, like it was this huge thing.
Yeah.
And it all started with the Photoshop contest.
It's just crazy.
Yeah.
And really cool.
Yeah. It does kind of take a dark twist though. And this is where, you know, what we talk about like escapism and then we talked about like the blurred lines between reality and fiction. This is an instance where it becomes dangerous if you're not able to separate due to some kind of mental illness or something what is real and what is not when you get into like the horror stuff. Basically in 2014, I believe it was, yes, it's 2014, there was what is called the Slenderman Stabbing. Does this ring a bell for you at all?
It doesn't. I thought you were going to talk about creepy clowns.
No. Oh, I didn't even think about the clown thing. That was a weird phenomenon, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
No, this is, the Slenderman Stabbing. Two 12-year-old girls lured one of their friends into the forest and stabbed her like 16 times or something crazy, some crazy number,
Oh my gosh.
and left her for dead. And they did this because they worshipped Slenderman and they wanted to prove that he was real and they wanted to become Slenderman's minions, basically.
Oh
They wanted
gosh.
like the people from Marble Hornets that ran around and like killed people for Slenderman. That's what they wanted to turn into. These two 12-year-old
12
girls.
is too young.
The girl did survive.
Okay.
She managed to
That's good.
crawl out of the woods and was found and taken to a hospital and recovered. Miraculously. But talk about traumatizing. Wow. Those girls were
Honestly
actually
speechless. I'm sorry.
yeah,
Just
those girls were sentenced to I mean they were deemed not guilty of murder due to it was I mean basically like insanity plea. It was like for mental illness reasons, and they were basically they're in facilities now, and they will be for a very very long time. Like one of them was
wow.
25 years and one of them was 40 years. 40 that they have to
Wow.
be in these mental institutions because they are so messed up from this whole Slenderman thing. So I mean, I think if you have like an obsessive personality and you get really attached and hyperfixate on things like that, to the point where you're like making sacrifices to fictional, like it's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, my first thought is like, where were the parents? Like,
Right.
why were these 12-year-old girls unsupervised?
It's just like, oh, they just
I
enjoy
don't know.
like, oh, scary internet stories, haha. Oh, Slenderman, spooky. Like maybe they didn't realize, but at the same time, and they're 12. They shouldn't. I don't. I feel like they probably shouldn't have had access to like some of that
No, I
stuff.
mean, I was scared as a 21-year-old
Yeah,
watching the Slenderman stuff. Like, I can't even imagine
yeah,
watching it when I was 12
um,
and
yeah.
not being
The
able to, because the Marble Hornet stuff was so well done that it
oh
felt
yeah,
like it was an actual like thing that they were trying to film, this documentary, and it
yeah.
was like being ruined. So if you didn't know about the photo contest or like the other like
The
things that
backstory. Yeah,
created Slenderman, you could very easily think that it was real. And so like a 12-year-old that doesn't know about this photo contest that happened years before and all of that, like, yeah.
hmm
Yeah. Because you're also like, scripted content on YouTube is not like, well, for sure now it's not as common. It was more common then. Like that was around the same time I feel like we had Miranda Sings was really popular, and
oh yeah.
which she still makes videos, but she was more popular then. And that one kid, the one kid that do you know what I'm talking about? He would act like crazy,
All I can
and you
think about
couldn't
is
tell if it
all
was.
I can think about is Fred.
I think it's the same person. I think his real name is Lucas, but the
Oh, okay,
character he played was Fred, or maybe I've got that
gotcha.
backwards. But he would like act like actually crazy,
Yeah,
and you couldn't tell if it was like an act or if it was
yeah,
real.
yeah. There's a lot of
So
things that were going on YouTube that like definitely blurred the lines of reality and fiction. Which I mean, I'm torn because part of me is like, good art.
no, for real.
And like skillfully done and like oh good job like part of me is almost satisfied when you hear about people being fooled by it and actually buying into it and thinking that it's real, but then not when it's 12-year-old girls stabbing their best friend. you
Right.
know
I mean,
like
exactly.
makes me really torn.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it reminds me of like the Blair Witch Project, like that movie is like a found footage is like kind of the first found footage film, and
I don't think
it's
I've seen that.
did I not make you watch it, or did Hope and I just watch it?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Well, for someone who went to film school, it was especially relatable to me because it was about a a crew for like a student film or an indie film wandering around in the forest, being just harassed and scared and traumatized by what we assume is a witch, but you never actually
Oh.
see the witch, which makes it worse.
Hmm.
So it's like Jaws, you don't see the shark until like the
Yeah.
very end of the movie. All you see is like the fin, which again, great storytelling. But there were people when that movie came out that were like, is this real? It says it's based on true events. Like, real? This is real? But then, like, people had to come out and be like, no. This is a story. This is fake. This was
All
produced. This is,
scripted. Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is all scripted. These are paid actors. Nobody died. Like, yeah, but it's just one of those things where if you tell the general public this is real, even if like it should be pretty obvious that it's not, and you're just saying that it is for dramatic effect, like some people will totally buy into it, and depending on
Yeah.
what the story is, I mean that's just kind of the power of storytelling, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's like something that is like a responsibility that storytellers have to bear if that's the kind of story that you're putting out,
Yeah.
there's it's really interesting to me the power that storytelling has and that it can make someone do something like that. It's just very, very sobering, I suppose is
Mm-hmm.
the word.
That's why I write books in fantasy worlds that are
Right.
very clearly not real.
Uh-huh. This is why fantasy is our preferred genre.
Very clearly not real.
Uh-huh.
But very fun.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you can still explore all, like there could be a creepy entity similar to Slender Man in your book,
Mm-hmm.
but people would know that it's not real because it takes place on a continent that doesn't exist in a fantasy universe with dragons. like,
Right. Yes.
like
There's
it's
enough other markers that it's very clearly not real.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, just circling back to why we like fantasy so much. You
Yes.
get all you can have. That's totally something that happens in fantasy books. There's always like a creepy, almost horror-esque chapter in a
Oh,
fantasy
yeah.
book. That's a trope,
Oh.
and I love it. I love it
I
when
mean,
it happens.
even
But
in The Hobbit, like we literally read the flies and spiders or spiders and flies chapter, which is
mhm.
like all about them being stuck in Mirkwood and being eaten by spiders.
Yep,
Big man-eating spiders.
yep. And Fellowship of
They're
the
not
Ring,
actually
you've
eaten,
got
but
the Barrow Downs where
mm-hmm.
they get like captured by ghosts and almost
Yeah.
killed in
In
a
Two
tomb.
Towers, you've got the dead marshes, which is terrifying.
And you've got Shelob.
Is that Two Towers or Return of the King?
That is Two Towers. It's
It
Return
is
of the
Two
King in the
Towers.
movie.
Yeah, but Two Towers in the book. And then Return of the King, you've got the Paths of the Dead.
Yeah, no, that's a thing. Like that's a common
Yeah.
trope.
Mm-hmm.
But I prefer it much more in a fantasy setting because I still get freaked
Yes.
out and I still get scared for the characters, but I'm never worried about it in real life.
Right. Yes. Yes.
So
For sure.
yeah. So yeah, that's creepypastas. I will say that I still like creepypastas. I know that was like a really dark note to end on with like
Yeah.
the Slenderman stabbings, but it's still up if you go to creepypasta.com and you can look up there's hundreds of thousands, probably millions of
Yeah.
creepypasta stories. So if you're in the mood for a good spook, I can't guarantee the quality of writing for all of them. But
Well, I
yeah.
have something I can guarantee the quality of. So, because I've watched it.
Oh, okay.
Not because I had anything to do with it. I had nothing to do with it at all. Okay, so Joseph, you know this, but I really love Good Mythical Morning with Rhett and Link, which is a YouTube channel that is mostly non-scripted.
Yeah.
It's like a talk show. But they do occasionally like do some scripted things, and they try to like do other venues of storytelling because they are
on
ultimately
TikTok.
story. Yes, which
I
is
saw
totally a
a part of it.
creepypasta.
Yeah.
You need to watch the whole thing. Today they uploaded the whole thing onto YouTube, so you can watch it, even though like it's intended as like a TikTok video. Or series of videos, but it's kind of like a found footage thing. Like they set this whole thing up like during the week of GMM. They're like, hey, join us Friday night. We're going to stay up all night and write a song on TikTok because they write songs. Like this is something that they do. Like funny songs. They're like, we're gonna stay up all night and write this song in the creative house. And then when you get on TikTok Friday night and start watching, they like they find a record that Link has never seen before. They start playing it. They end up playing it backwards, and like it opens this portal, and this creepy lady comes. It's like this whole thing.
Yeah.
And it's so well done. And so creepy.
Mm-hmm.
And funny. Like it's a good blend of like, but I don't know if it's funny just because I have been watching Rhett and Link forever, so like I know their personalities, but
Sure.
would highly recommend. They're you can find it on YouTube, but I'll link it in the descriptions of various places. But
Cool.
it's very good. And it's not very long. It's like 20 minutes, so it doesn't take like a ton of time. But it's a good like. This is kind of the essence of a creepypasta.
Yeah. Yeah.
In video form.
And something that reminded me of, since it's like a big, like big name creators that are making this thing, something that has become more and more important for the creepypastas is authorship. That was something that wasn't really paid attention to when it was first starting. You know,
because
like
the
a
internet
lot of
was newer.
yeah, like a lot of them were just anonymous. You know, like some of these creepypastas were like you get an email from someone, you don't know where that started. You know,
Right.
people were starting these things and just trying to post people to spook people out, and they weren't like putting their name on it, you know, as like a pride thing, like, oh, I came up with this. And that could be part of the reason too why some of the Slenderman stuff got so notorious and people actually bought into it, because I don't think there's claims about who first came up with Slenderman, but I don't know if there's any definitive thing for like who actually had the first idea for it. Like there's the picture,
Right.
obviously you can track the picture, the Photoshop contest, but beyond that, with like the lore and the backstory and everything, I think it's just a big conglomeration of a bunch of ideas, but they can't really pin it on a specific person who first wrote the first Slenderman story. That was a creepypasta, not just the photo. But authorship has kind of become more of a thing now with like the website. Like you make a username, that's your username. You post stuff, and people
Yeah.
are actually people will actually post, and because they like want to be writers and they want to be storytellers,
Yeah.
you know, and they want to be known for their work, so they want credit for it. If it's a really compelling
Fair.
story, they want people to know that they did it. So that's become a more big thing now. So it's not so much about copying and pasting anymore. Because you know that's stealing someone's intellectual property, which is
Yeah.
more of an issue now than back in the earlier days of the internet. So, but yeah, so that's where things stand. I would recommend, if you're interested in reading a scary story every now and then, go check it out. I think you can like filter by genre maybe. I haven't been there in a while, but there's like a huge collection of different creepypasta stories, and if you are particularly in the mood for a scare, go watch the Marble Hornets series on YouTube and enjoy that rabbit hole. So,
I'll warn you, there's a lot of videos.
oh no, it's insane. It's not like Critical Role, but it's like it's a lot.
It's a lot. They're shorter. They're not like 4-hour videos, but
No,
it's
there's
a lot of
they're
videos.
like there's some that are definitely like 40-minute segments, you know, that get
yeah.
uploaded. So, but yeah. So yeah, that's creepypasta. It's a more kind of obscure storytelling avenue, but counts nonetheless. So
Yes,
we get to talk
good for
about
the
it
spooky
here.
season.
Yep, exactly.
It's kind of like fan fiction, but like with the intention of, and with like original characters. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
But it
and almost
exists
not
online
necessarily
in the
because
same way that
right, because
fiction
people
exists
will
online.
post like Slenderman creepypastas and Jeff the Killer creepypastas, even though they weren't the original creators of it, you know. So like you can still like plug different characters into like all these different stories and stuff. So like it's interesting how like the direction it's gone, because it's again like nobody really can claim credit for some of those early ones. So it's almost like they're fair
Sure.
use, but yeah, it's interesting. So if you're interested, go ahead and check it out and let us know if you find anything particularly good
Yes.
that you would recommend that we read, because I would.
Yeah, Joseph will read it whenever. I'll read it next October.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah. Anyway, that's creepypastas. So
Yeah.
I guess the next video we upload will be the first read along for The Blade itself.
Yes,
So-
it will be in November.
Yeah, so go
Which is
ahead and
crazy.
grab a copy of that and start reading. We've got the reading schedule posted on our socials now, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay, awesome.
But for the first one, you will read until you get to the morning ritual.
The morning ritual. That's right. Awesome. Well, I think that's a good place to end it. So,
yeah. Well, thanks
tell-
for leading us through this creepy story.
yeah, the creepypasta. So, on that note, go read something cool.
And we'll talk at you next time.
Bye.
Bye.